Sure.
Yeah.
May I
Yeah,
add
I'm
to
breaking
that?
into the Egyptian symbols right now. I'm doing a huge study into all the Egyptian studies, looking into the Ankh, especially right now. It's
Yep.
really, really amazing and fascinating. And apparently, the Ankh is the it feels like it's like the key behind everything, behind their power source, behind all of that stuff. And I'm about to break that wide open.
Word. Awesome. Yes, ma'am. Yeah, to build on that, that's beautiful. I just found out, well, the other day I did a presentation with ballet, the word has Ball and ET. ET relates to estrogen, and that relates to ester or ether. So it's the ball of ether or ester. Ballet is the prima ballerina, like prima mobile, as Santos says. That's the one that's moving. So movement in dance comes from her, the Venus. She's the one doing it in ballet. So when I'm always going to etymology, I always find that these words, for example, in ballet, jete, in Jesus, and in jete, we jump and do that stuff. So we're basically honoring Christ consciousness through the ether, through the ball, the dodecahedron. Beautiful. And it's just so expansive. And I just keep finding more and more things from your show, Santos. It's just, and, Sanchez and what my man just said about electromagnetic. I'm wearing my copper bracelets for Venus. I'm Taurus. I'm ruled by Venus. So it makes sense. Yeah, it's really beautiful, actually.
It is.
Totally. Yeah, totally. I mean, when we stand at fifth,
Oh yeah, absolutely. The more I watch and the more I interact and get to talk about this, the more I learn. Because even as I'm like to relate out loud my words that I write down to explain to people, I figure out better ways of explaining it than I had it written down. And I'm like, ooh, that actually makes more sense than what I wrote down. I'm like, I think that's actually the way it goes. And then I start, going based off of that. I don't know. I kind of make connections the more I talk about it and the more I connect with people. So I'm glad to be here.
And
awesome.
it's the same way for me. Sometimes I'm from Germany. That's why I have a strange accent. But you may wonder,
Wow.
oh yeah, it's all kinds of accents.
Totally.
And sometimes I don't have the vocabulary in English to actually tell about something. Sometimes you miss the words, and then somebody helps me and say, "Oh, it's like this," and then I write it down for the next time, and I think, "Oh, a way to explain it," because sometimes I don't know the words for it, or say it in German, but nobody understands that.
Uh, Basically, my view on it, my theory is what I explained to you before as far as the ether and the perturbation. The best way to lay it out is like you know, oh, well, I guess that's getting into it. I'm going to try to figure out a way to say it quickly. Said before is where the creation happens, the continuous creation of that with an added torus creates a plane of inertia. Within that plane of inertia, in between anything and everything, energy is compressed to a point of density that creates. I don't like calling it matter because matter hints at particles, and I don't believe in particles. I believe the universe works in electro waves. So I call it elemental material instead of matter. So the in between the two toroids, since the being pushed down from both sides and getting compressed into that plane of equilibrium, matter right there or elemental material is created. And from there on, the process just continues until frequency and vibration takes over to control the energy and create. Well, my whole deal is I'm looking for the grand unified theory. I want to unify religion, science, and metaphysics all into one because religion, aka faith, and science and metaphysics are the three main principles of life that everybody revolves around. I mean, you're either within faith, which is like politics and religion, or you're within science, which is logic, or you're within metaphysics, which is spiritual. Besides that, everybody, there is no in between those three. Everybody else is pretty much categorized within those three areas of life. They're just the principles, and I'm trying to find the unity of all three. So that way everybody stops their complaining and, crying and all their indifferences and stop a division. I want to get everybody to think on one mindset and to realize the truth that, combines everything. No longer are we looking at this kind of physics or that kind of math or this kind of whatever. No, we're going to look at, electromagnetism, look at geometry, look at Fibonacci sequence and stuff like that, get the world to be on one page.
Oh, my bad.
Yeah.
Can you hear me now?
Yeah.
Yes, I agree with what he just said. It's about oneness. It comes from one source. In ballet, we have 5 major positions. We have 5 elements, and the first one is earth. So what my teaching is designed to do is to get everyone in the studio to realize it's not technique. It's actually a physical consciousness that is telling you something in your body. You have a bicep is 2, a tricep is 3, that's 5. So I tell them these things so that they can see it in their body, and it can be like, oh, wow, so ballet and dance relates to science or physics. So when they leave my studio, and then I give them assignments, a teaching assistant where I teach, and I also am a student. I'm going for my master's in choreography. My thesis is about Venus, ether. It's all about the goddess, which it somehow still seems to be an issue today, where astrology and anything to do with the sacred feminine is like, whoa. So it's interesting that I'm grateful that I'm in the system to teach that we can align those 5 positions of ballet with the 5 elements, the 5 geometric shapes, and it goes on and on. And how Brother Sanchez was talking about 5 being Saturn, and it's like it goes on and it builds. And so then when I'm listening to all these things, I realize that ballet is this sort of forgotten element. A lot of people say, I tried dancing and it was too strict, and it is. When I was dancing, I had to jump higher, I had to turn faster. I was told that, I'm black, I can't do ballet because I should be doing Alvin Ailey and African dance. But Africa, it means terra in etymology, which is earth, the first damn element. So because I know my elements, I can then debunk all this shit about, well, you should do this and do that. It's about one source. And geometry and dance are definitely linked to that. King Louis made ballet famous. He was a Freemason. Medici, the famous queen who killed 50,000 people in one day, was a patron of the ballet. She slaughtered the Protestants, but they weren't stupid. So I'm choreographing pieces based on these individuals because my faculty at University of Iowa, actually, they don't know who Medici is and how she was the first patron, and how important it is that we sort of go back and look at the behavior, but then also analyze the information within dance. And that is a hidden secret in there that if you can decode it, like man was saying about ether and oneness. Sorry if I was going too long there. Yes, well, when we stand in 5th position in ballet, we hold our arms like this, which is the dodecahedron. And I researched that from Santos's information. I was like, wait a minute, when I'm doing this in dance, I'm holding that ball, or the child, the chi, C-H-I. So we're carrying this like a cradled baby, these circles, right? And so we know that Vesica Pisces, that's once again Venus, and moving around and how she dances up there or everywhere. A pas de deux is a dance for 2. I can tell you each ballet step in terms of the zodiac, if you don't mind. So for example, we have tour en l'air in ballet, which is a jump. Well, Taurus is tour, en l'air is Aries. We have Gemini, the twins. That's a pas de deux, dance for 2. Then we go to Cancer. It was originally the scarab. Well, that's scarabesque in ballet. And then we get to Leo, pas de chat, step of the cat. And then we have Virgo is the muse, giving us the music for the ballet. And then we get into Libra. That would be in Francais for ballet. And then we have Scorpio is the stinger. We have piqué, which means to sting in ballet. And then we have the Sag, the half man, half horse. We have pas de cheval, step of the horse. And then we have Capricorn. Capri is the goat. Well, we have cabriole in ballet, which is cabri means goat. And then we have porte-bras in ballet, means the carriage of the arms, but boats go to the port. It's there. And then we have Pisces, is 2 fish. When I stand in fifth position in ballet, my feet do this, one foot in front of the other. It's the sole of the foot. Sole means fish. And that's it. And so it's like that just gives you already like, whoa, clearly these French people or people in general, they're telling us something. So that when I'm teaching, you can be like, wow, I'm having an experience as opposed to a technical being barked at, be skinny. No wonder why girls get anorexia, because they're being taught technique. And a huge issue in dance for women, especially, they're so hard on women, but they don't teach them that it's about you. It's about Venus.
No.
That ball is ether. It's the dodeca. So
But I was wondering, do you also have a position in dance for the sun and the moon?
For the sun and the moon?
Yeah. I was wondering.
I can think about it now. Well, we have what is called rond de jambe, the leg. So the way the sun moves, I'm pretty sure that step is basically expressing that. Oh, okay. So I could tell you the moon might be adagio. It's at nighttime. So we have an adage, sort of slow. I would say that the moon is a reflection of the energies in the combinations that we might have. On the bar at ballet, we start at the bar and we're very stationary. But at the end of class, we finish with grand allegro, where we're jumping up to who? Ether.
Yeah.
It's beautiful.
Yeah.
Yeah. So
I never thought about dancing that way. That it's mind opening. Yeah.
Yeah. Well, you have the tribe of Dan.
Right.
You know, I mean, Dan, Daniel, like it's totally there. And you know, my teachers were great teachers. I had Russian teachers, you know, Rus, Taurus fields. Oh, by the way, for my man who mentioned the Taurus field, pardon me, your name again, sir? The gentleman who was speaking for 4 hours, I'm sorry. Matthew, is it? Yeah. I was going to say that tutu is an anagram for Taurus. So the tutus that ballerinas wear is an honoring of that Taurus field. So when they're spiraling and I'm partnering her, I'm spinning her, or she's spinning us with the Taurus field. It's gorgeous.
Yeah.
I mean, it is. And I think that ballet can heal. So what I want to do is start my own pedagogy where I also have a modern class. It's called Angles in Motion. You square the triangle that makes the circle. So basically very simple. I get them to move and make points with their fingers, angles, and they fill the shapes in and they make circles. I shit you not. If you're a beginner, you'll be a master after a week because it's atomic energy. Your body wants to move in those shapes.
Those hand movements you just made me think of that of folking, just like in what Madonna was doing, folk.
Yeah, it's everywhere. Totally, sign language, mudras. They're all angles. They're creating shapes. So move in these little points of interest. And they make their shapes, and we finish with the circle, and they fill it in. It blows. I learned from them. I'm like, wow. So I'm seeing your unique atomic way of moving. You know, I also teach that, you know, pi is 22 divided by 7, right? We have 22 bones in our skull in a 7 pH balance. They don't teach that shit. So when I say things like that in the class, they're all like, whoa, oh shit, I'm actually that number? Like, yes, you are. You are that circular shape. You know, my biceps are round, my eyes, everything. It's a flat earth, and disco balls and metaphors and things that are hidden that are really cool.
Oh, yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
I'm looking forward to an hangout of you on the Sun and Moon group. Yeah.
Yeah, no, I'm honored. Karen's been amazing. She's done some videos for me. She stayed up all night putting videos of my 1-minute presentations, which if you want to follow me on YouTube, I'm Rawzen, R-A-W space Z-E-N. And I'm on Instagram as Rawzen617. And so I just do...
Can you see, are you on your computer? Yeah. Can you see the group chat on the side? Maybe you can...
how does that work?
Maybe put it in there. You have...
okay.
Or you have those the chat.
Oh, I see it.
the buttons, and above one is
Okay.
chat, and then you can post a link to your channel. That's handier. I always do it like that.
I see. Perfect. Yeah. So I look forward to just expanding with you all because I mean I'm making a lot of connections from this show specifically.
Mhm.
It's an awesome show.
Oh yeah.
And I'm honored. You are all just so beautiful. It's great.
Thank
It's great.
you. Thank you for that.
Yeah. Yes. Yes, it's true. If I could say it too to Karen, I often hear you say that, you know, you're not doing anything, you're not saying anything. You're doing a lot. I watch you on the show. You're so humble, but you're providing a platform for a lot of us to get out there. You've already helped me get my name out there a little bit more. That's a huge. You're a medium. The medium is like the most important aspect of all of us. Without the mediums, there's no small to large. That's the neutral place. I just wanted to let you know that.
See, Karen, I told you before that it was the case. Yeah.
Of course.
It's great. It's great to hear it from another person. That she's great.
Of course. Come on. It's a powerful ability. Not everybody has that, and you found it. So good for you.
Indeed. Yeah, Karen is uniting us all.
Wow. Bless you, man. That's amazing. Good for you. I woke up at like around 37. I started to see things. So, wow.
Thank you.
The younger, the better. He has more time to do research.
Absolutely. Absolutely. I was going to say to you, Karen, as well. Oh, sorry. Yeah, totally. Totally. I was going to chime in and say your last name, Petite. In ballet, we have Petite Allegro. And Brother Sanchez mentioned how we have small, medium, and large. Well, we have that in dance. We have Petite Allegro, Grande Allegro, and then just regular Allegro. So your last name holds a lot of power in terms of what I do. So another connection for you.
Well, Petit is small, as far as I know, in French. Petit.
Yeah.
What? Yeah, they pronounce it wrong because if you say petit in French, you say petit pain. That's a small bread.
Oh, sorry, the German man. I'm sorry. What is your name, sir?
You can call me artist, but my real name is.
When I was dancing at Béjar Ballet, they're in Switzerland. We toured to Germany, went to Wolfsburg, and I danced in the Volkswagen theater. And it was really cool because it's basically a warehouse for cars, but they have a theater in there for dancers.
Oh yeah, that's great. Yeah. The Volkswagen is one of the most recognizable German cars. Yeah, it was basically a wagon for the. Yeah, do you know actually why it's called a Volkswagen?
No, tell me.
Volk is basically translated people, so Volk is people, and wagon is car. So it was a car for the people.
Cool.
For the working class people. So basically, Volkswagen is basically translated roughly a car for the working class people.
Wow. Learn something new every day, like folk music, right?
Yeah.
Or Volks music.
Yeah, indeed. Sometimes you don't know.
You know what? Unfortunately, what I knew about Volkswagen, that the logo related to the swastika somehow.
That's the more, yeah.
I mean, not that I'm hating on it. I'm just saying that's what I was watching.
If you actually have another brand, it's called the Opel.
Yeah.
That's actually has a swastika in its logo. The Opel car. It's OPEL. That's actually one swastika in it. Still made to this day. So maybe they got it wrong. I can show you actually the Opel sign. If you hang.
Sure. Well, you know where I got it from. I'm sure you've heard of Michael Tessarion. Before I found Santos, I was into Jordan Maxwell and Michael Tessarion stuff, and he had this whole thing about subversive symbolism. Broke down a lot of things I thought were interesting. Although he's into some other stuff now. I've moved past it, but not that I was hating on the Volkswagen. Yeah. The swastika is just
no. Okay, here. This is the Opel brand, and that's
cool.
swastika. See, Opel.
Beautiful.
headquarters also in Germany, so I know that has actually a real swastika in it.
Cool.
Very clear. Or a swastika-like shape, also a lightning bolt of the SS. Basically, the SS
Yeah.
also had those symbolism.
Of course. It's ISIS. It's the Kabbalah
So
Z. It's all connected. Like the swastika is just the stickers of ISIS. It's all her. And it's like it's not even all evil.
Because if you do Volkswagen, I don't know the logo images. It doesn't really look like a swastika to me.
I didn't think so either. But someone, they found, people are doing research and they find ways to.
Once upon a time, yes, I did. I wanted to
Wow.
learn all the secrets that they knew about because I understand that they, level, they do release the fact that they worship Satan, but besides that, they do hold the true knowledge all the way back from like Egyptian times to, and they share that knowledge in the way that I'm telling you guys right now, as far as electromagnetism and, the different technologies that go along with it, rather than telling you guys like, oh, well, the Freemasons saw this meant, the waning moon, and this one meant the eternal fire, and this one meant, life after death and whatnot. It's like, well, no, 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 no. See, this is actually an electromagnetic, device. Not only is it a device, but it's the symbol for electromagnetism. They're showing you in all of these symbols, they're showing you the ingredients for the circuitry required for this particular device to do what it needs to do. So if you actually notice, each Ankh that the pharaoh possessed. So if you look at each individual Ankh the pharaoh possessed, inside of the Ankh or around its inside like borders, it has a bunch of different petroglyphs or hieroglyphs. And I believe that, and they're all different. I believe that each one is a different recipe of circuitry for a different effect of the Ankh. So like one of them would do, a healing. One of them would be a weapon. One of them would do maybe levitation. One of them, et cetera, et cetera. It's either that or they were formula recipes for changing the frequency of of the field that it put out, so that way it could do different things using the Fibonacci code as the key sequence. No, the pyramids resonated off of what the cosmos resonated off of, which is what the Earth resonates off of. It's the ley lines, and so the pyramids basically just it's just like a Tesla coil. The energy already exists; it's already there. The pyramids and the Tesla coil, they just capture the energy and create a means for you to use the energy. That's what it was. So basically, it was a massive power plant that lets you utilize the energy of the ley lines in the cosmos. And they used it by powering batteries and using these Ankh devices and these WAS scepters for, transferring power for here and there and to do whatever they were doing back then. You can tell it was all electrical power too, because when you look through the Egyptian tunnels and within the chambers and stuff, you see zero soot or zero fire damage from, fire source light, which would have been what it was. There would have been smoke damage, soot, burn marks, scorch marks along the corridors, but there's not. Everything's perfectly clean, suggesting that some kind of electro radiation type light was being used through use of circuitry and technology. That's why you have pictures depicting some massive long looking light bulb that was connected to the JED, which is the electric insulator or the capacitor, kind of like acted like the battery, soaking up all of the energy. And then the energy, I believe, was passed through the Ankh, utilized by the Ankh. And maybe, I'm still not sure, I'm still looking into it, but maybe the Wasp Scepter was a way for kind of like a what are those things called, where like a soldering iron, how all the energy comes out to that one point. Well, maybe the Wasp scepter connected to the Ankh, which powered the scepter, and the scepter just focused all of the energy from the Ankh to a point, which utilized it as whatever they needed it for. I don't know. I'm still putting all this together. There's many depictions of them separate. There's many depictions of them together. And then there's another thing I'm trying to figure out is why the Ankh is sometimes shown as being held by the handle, and sometimes it's shown as being held by the arc. So what I've gotten out of that so far is that when it's held by the arc, it's being controlled by the gods. When it's held by the handle, it's being controlled by the man or person handling it. But the symbology behind, it being handled or controlled by the gods, I'm thinking maybe when it shows a hand holding onto the arc of the Ankh, it means that that device was freehand. It was a freehand electromagnetic device, something that didn't require a person to hold in their hands. Kind of like we can turn a lamp on and walk away from it in a room. That's kind of like the Ankh being held by the hand. And then the Ankh or the being held by the arc. The Ankh being held by the handle is kind of like you using a flashlight for light with you. Yeah, I believe that. I believe the same thing. You're pretty much hitting it right on the button. They've completely unearthed us. They've ungrounded us from our resonant source of energy. Because like I said, our brain waves and our, impulses that go through our nervous system is at the same frequency as the impulses that, go through the earth itself. So we're literally not connected with the massive thing that we live upon that we're actually able to connect with. I mean, even to a point that cutting your hair is actually a very bad thing. Uh, your hair is 100% interwoven into your nervous system. And if you think about it, your nervous system is inside of your body. It allows you to control everything within your body. Your hair extends out of your body. So your hair is actually your extension of your nervous system into the world around you. So that way you can better be connected to the electromagnetic fields that are outside of your body. Do you understand what I'm saying? That's why the Rastafarian culture, they actually believe that when your hair gets all knotted up and you don't cut it like that, the energy that leaves your body, instead of it going out into the world and you losing that energy, it stays inside of your hair because it's all knotted up. So that way your body is constantly gaining energy from the earth and never losing it because it doesn't flow back out of your hair. That's why the Rastafarians do the dreadlocks. I mean, Samson back in the Bible,
Yeah,
he
I
had
was thinking that.
seven of his locks cut, seven of them, meaning he had dreadlocks too. And that was his premise, as long as he did not cut his hair, his energy or his strength would be contained. It's pretty interesting on how deep it gets with electromagnetism. It's not just physical, it's not just technology, it's not just metaphysical, it's spiritual, it's everything. It is the essence. The Ankh is known as the symbol of life because electromagnetism is the essence of life. It's what binds and holds everything together. Like the wizards back in the day, the sorcerers, energy, the magic, all of that. That was electromagnetism. They just found out how to utilize it. I absolutely believe that back in the day there were, just like in the Mahabharata, it talks about the wars of the gods. There's even in the Bible, there's a book called the Wars of the Gods. So you can't deny the fact that Bible, it says that all man, the Son of Man, Jesus, so called, says that we're all gods, lowercase g, and we're all creators. And then it says the war of the gods, plural. And if you, like I said, if you want to get really technical, Elohim, which is the normal word, the Hebrew word for God, is actually a plural word and means mighty ones. So technically, there is no one God. There's multitude of gods, even though the Bible says that there's only one, but that's held in the same belief as like uh, the Egyptian belief system. They have a belief system where there was one complete deity, but he, out of creation, created eight deities. And the eight deities out of his creation is what everything is. It's called the Ogdod Primordial Eight. It's the elements that create the divine creator according to the Egyptians. It's according to the cosmologies of Hermopolis and I don't know how to pronounce it, Khmnu. But basically, the Ankh is derived from those names because the names are Amun, Atum, Kepri, Ra. Oh, there's Tatentin. So when you put all the names together, oh, I'm sorry, here they are: Amun, Amunet, Nun, Nunet, Kek, Keket, Het, and Hahet. And when you put all those together, just with the first letters, Aannkkkah, Ankh. That literally spells out Ankh. So out of those 8 that created the Ogdad was the 1. And the 1 created the Ogdad, the 8. And out of the 8 were the 8 main gods of Egyptian lore that gave their power and everything to everybody. So each Ankh was based off of the specific god. So like one Ankh to one god would be for creation. Another Ankh to another god would be for knowledge and power. Another Ankh for another god would be for medicine and healing. Out of the 8, there's basically in the Egyptian lore, there's 8 principles upon which all power and everything are based off of. And from that 8, there's one specific that's spread out into that 8. That one specific, like I said before, you've got frequency. Without frequency, you don't have the other continuums: time, space, matter, and then you've got the other 3 continuums. Frequency, energy, and vibration. Then, of course, you've got electromagnetism, which is a result of the all creating a trifecta of the 8. You've got frequency, vibration, energy, time, space, matter, electromagnetism, energy. Yeah.
Wow, for a young man, he's saying a lot of things that are sinking. I actually wanted to chime in about the pyramids because we have in our brain metal pyramids, and I believe that like this mystery of building the pyramids, I think that the brain is a very powerful thing, and I think that back in those days we were way more connected to our pineal gland and the geometry in our head, and I believe that we built it from this source, this very powerful antenna, and its connection to, of course, the frequencies. And today we have Black women wearing weaves on their head, and they're burning their skull to get their hair straightened, in order to fit into society. Aphrodite.
I said in the whole bleaching and everything,
Sorry?
people with the blood, everything that they're doing, they're destroying and chemically destroying their outside shell to keep it from the inside. Yes,
Exactly.
you're absolutely correct.
Yeah, and so I've tried my best to illuminate that, and they get mad at you, like, don't you talk about my hair, and they're making a fortune, and it's interesting, like we've lost the concepts. Like Aphrodite is Venus or the moon. Afro, so when you grow that afro, you're growing that tree out of your brain, because cortex means bark of tree. Medulla means pith of plants. Whoa, spine means thorn. Thalamus, receiver of the flower. In Ashtanga yoga, we have 8 principles that aligns with my man's Matthew's theory. Of course, the 8. It's the octa. It's everywhere, right? So when we're trying to get to these principles, I think that we're just so distracted from corporate, obviously wearing sneakers because they're sneaky, and we're covering up our feet. Sole of the foot. Soul means sun, right? So when you're walking on the earth, I earth all the time. I earth today in front of my mom's beautiful house in New Orleans. I just stand in the dirt for 30 minutes and I can feel it. I can feel a shift, and it changes you, and you're not relying on corporate foods and your appetite and all this, like, the blood pressure, your sugar levels are all mixed up and confused. And so it's
one of the best things that you can actually do.
Yeah, that's right.
Hey, if you're gonna do a video about that, check out Dr. Sebi's diet. That guy had the perfect diet, Dr. Sebi.
Okay.
And then I would combine that diet with what you're talking about with the grounding, with your feet in the dirt. But then I would also combine that and do those 2 things in the afternoon and in the morning at the times when you can sun gaze.
Yeah.
Cool.
You can also
talk about the most relaxing and most refreshing thing ever.
Yeah, you can also moon gaze, huh? Just putting it in there. Well,
Wow.
what the problem is, the most people who get skin cancer don't get it from the sun. They get it from those artificial sun stations. You can lie under a sun station with those lights. Those artificial sunbaits. You know those things
Yeah.
that you
Tanning
can
salons.
actually lie. Sorry, how are they called in English?
Tanning salons? Well, yeah.
The tanning salons.
I believe that
Sunbaits.
everybody's getting the cancer from all these so-called towers that they're putting everywhere. You've got all these lines creating all this electricity, all these phone lines, all these these internet lines. Then you've got all these cell phone towers and whatnot. They're creating so many electromagnetic fields that are
Uh-huh.
coexisting with each other, creating more and more and more potent and concentrated mixed energy that's creating these electro radiation discharges that just aren't normal. They're abnormal. Their geometric shapes and their frequencies do not match natural things. And when they match through our body, much like when you drink any kind of liquid that's been microwaved, it's all bad down to the molecule, down to the micro bit of it. Same thing. Every time we walk on the street around any of these towers and in between all these so-called lines for telephones of electricity and whatnot, we're
Yeah.
pumping ourselves of all these different, poisonous fields of electricity. So if we can like figure out a way to utilize some of this ancient technology, maybe we can create some kind of field of some kind of electromagnetic field around us that'll protect us
Mhm.
from the everyday bombardment that we're being hit by.
Yeah.
Maybe that's what this Ankh was. Maybe it was a protection. Maybe that's why all the elites and all the great people had these Ankhs on their bodies at all time. It created an electromagnetic field around them that protected them from the electromagnetic field produced by the pyramids.
And don't forget the mobile phones. Those are the worst because all the children, I heard on the radio and actually verified it within a person, the eye doctor I know. And all the children from around the teenage children now, about half of them have severe eye problems. That if they will go on looking at their cell phone at the short distance they are looking today, they will probably be all blind at the age of 50. All of them, all the children. So, because what I learned back in the day, when you had the first computers, and maybe some other people as Ron maybe knows that, when you were sitting at the desk, what you were learned for a computer, that you had your screen further away as your arm length. In the schools, at the first computer class, put your screen as further away as your arm distance, because otherwise you will get severe eye problems. That was basically in the textbooks of the first computer classes back in the 80s. But people forgot
That makes
that.
sense.
Yeah. And they had the posture, how you sit at the desk, and also how high your desk should be, and how high your keyboard should be. Because I'm sitting actually at the exact rate as you're supposed to sit at the desk, and I can sit there for hours, and my eyes don't hurt, my neck doesn't hurt, my elbows or joints don't hurt, because I'm sitting in the right way you should sit at the desk behind the computer. And all those children also had severe neck problems because they are sitting in the wrong way. They're staring down at their cell phones. So a lot of children have severe neck problems and also eye problems. Even some children had already they were about 15 years old. They had such a severe eye problems in their eyes that their nerves were already damaged to upon no repair. So that's a very big, serious problem children have today.
No, the lines in the computer that you're looking at, I know what you're talking about. The lines appear because within the screen, that's a hardware thing, 100%. I could explain that simply because of engineering. There's actually very tiny lines of individual receivers tiny little individual receivers, and that's why when you look at your computer screen through like a cell phone, you'll get all these different lines going up and down on the screen itself. It's completely a hardware. It's in the creation of the screen, so it has nothing to do with that. But now, if you were to take a magnet and bring it to that screen, and you see how it warps everything around it, that's showing you the dielectric field of a magnet. Yeah, wicked dangerous. I believe that they know how to induce. As a matter of fact, not just believe, I have patents in my phone, patents and patent numbers of technologies and frequencies they use to induce specific behavioral patterns within people. And they use our TVs, radios, and they also use these towers to do that. So not only are we being induced with radiation at a constant basis, but we're actually being bombarded with specific frequencies emitted by these towers from government agency, whoever they are. I don't want to create some conspiracy out of it, but they're being emitted, and it's creating a behavioral pattern in the people. It's keeping us mundane, basically, to where people aren't, getting too excited and whatnot. And sometimes at certain places, these things just, I think they just obviously fail. When you get riots and stuff like that built up, people just come through in a certain way to where these towers, that just doesn't matter. But that's going to get dangerous in the future, because now they're putting in all these new towers, all these so-called 5G towers. So what kind of control capabilities are they going to have with these towers? Next, first thing you see once these towers goes up, what happens? We see these towers goes up. Next thing you know, there's all these mass shootings that nobody seems to be able to explain or anything. Oh, darn. Yeah, wait a minute. I don't know if they're doing that where you guys are. Well, over here in America, they've got all these towers that they're putting up, 5G towers. And it's for
I don't
the
have them
new...
near me. I live.
We have them here. Yep.
I live in the forest. The closest cell tower is about 50 miles away.
Well, that's pretty good, man, especially if you live up in the mountains. Even if you live up in the mountains, though, don't forget, look at what happened in California just now, man. They've got those aerial weapons, those weaponized cones in the front of the airplanes that use microwavable laser technology, and they start fires. I mean, look at the California fires. Even the tree shrubs that are directly rubbing up next to houses are not burned completely. The houses are burned down to a complete crisp, but like bushes next to the houses, no. So what I'm thinking is that these lasers, they're damaging only organic, damaging or they're damaging inorganic, not organic compounds. So everything organic, as you can see, all the trees are not touched, but everything else is. So it's not getting metals and stuff like that, but it's destroying everything like wood and whatnot. I don't know. I want to study the Hutchinson effect a lot more. I think the Hutchinson effect literally deals with, he's found a way to the actual frequency of the object. What that does is it nullifies what's holding that object, what's holding the elemental material together inside of that object. So to make it less confusing, I'll just go ahead and say particles and molecules. So basically, the Hutchinson effect, he creates a frequency that matches the exact frequency that's holding the molecules together, that creates that block of metal. And what that does is it vibrates the air around it at the same frequency, matching the molecules. So the molecules start separating to fill the missing space in the air. And that pretty much just like turns it into a mush. And that's what you see. It's Tesla technology. He built a box that you could hold in your hand, and you could put it next to a skyscraper and make the skyscraper shake to the point of being like an earthquake. It's frequency technology, and I believe that's the same technology that the ancients used. Vibration, frequency, and energy. That's why Tesla said that. He's like, think in those terms, because everything eventually revolves around those three principles. Even electromagnetism, everything, minus space, time, and matter. But that's the creation continuum. It's actual geoengineering type stuff. It allows them to manipulate the weather and stuff. They're putting metal particulates and certain things in the air like boron and whatnot. And when you pump a microwave beam into that, it messes with those molecules that are in the air, and it messes with them and creates different temperatures, which different temperatures mixing in with like a really really hot temperature formed because of the cloud that you just microwave beam. Well, now that area is going to get hit with a cold front, and that area getting hit with a cold front is going to move this way because of the weather pattern that they already know about, and that's going to create a storm right here in this particular area because that's the way that the weather's flowing. They just got to create the start to it. That's so I'm wondering if that's what they're doing with the pipes in the water, is if they're ionizing the water, and that pumps the air full of, and like moisturizes the air and mixes with those chemicals that are in the air, and then they pump beams of microwave energy into the air to. Well, that's what they're doing with everything. They're back engineering. What do you think CERN is doing with their Hydra Collider? They're trying to back engineer God, for crying out loud. The God particle. Come on, give me a break. But yeah, no,
just before you go any further, I'm going to leave because it's now 3:30 in the morning over here in Germany, and I have to get up in about 4 hours. So,
bummer.
thanks for all the great information. Thanks for the. Yeah, that's great, as always. See you next time. And if I don't see you before the new year, everybody a very healthy new year.
Pleasure meeting you.
Yeah, definitely. Great talking to you. I'm willing to keep going if you guys are, just for BSing and trying to get to know each other and our knowledge and connections and whatnot. I'm gonna take like a 5-minute intermediate smoke break. So give me a sec. I'm just gonna listen. Yeah, I could hear you guys.
Oh, I wasn't sure if you could hear me. I was just curious.
Yeah, so I do want to get in on some of the Egypt, since we're winding it down and we're just kind of talking about randoms now. What do you guys think? Have you guys researched the Egyptian symbology at all, as far as our way of thinking and electromagnetism? Honestly, like I really do believe that the reason why they knew all that stuff was because I believe in the fallen angels, and it's the only story that seems to resonate, the best with me, as far compared to like all the other religious stories. The only difference being that I need to get down, as far as my personal belief, is what I heard earlier today. I need to study the word Elohim more, because if it's plural word, then that means the Bible really was based. It really was a story based religion created off of the Egyptian belief system. And if that's the case, then I really need to figure out where everything really did start.
Well, I know that Elohim means to turn and twist. Can y'all hear me? You can hear me? I can't. This is my first time doing this, so I don't know if I've lost connection.
No, I can hear you. I can hear you great.
Okay, cool. Yeah. So in ballet, we do pirouettes, and pyros means fire. So the pyramid means fire in the middle is it's in a certain place. So to my understanding, I would assume that the way that they saw what they saw, all these things, is they had a certain kind of a natural relationship. And once again, with metal RA pyramids in the brain, and it's going up, they had a unique relationship with the ether. And I'm sure that they were also experiencing other entities. I don't think they were by themselves, in my opinion. I think they had some assistance. And then I think there was some infiltration that happened when Venus's birth. I'm reading a book called Emmanuel Velikovsky's Worlds in Collision and Earth in Upheaval, Globe Earth. But he says some interesting things about the birthing of Venus, and how when she was attacking and creating her star, the fiery energies coming from the heavens shifted the consciousness of everything and sort of rattled our cage. But sorry, back to the Elohim being to turn and twist. What I'm doing in ballet, when I'm turning or when I'm partnering my partner, like pottery, like Harry Potter, we're creating these spirals that constantly go up. So the vibration today is not so much about going up, it's about staying here and stuck. In those days, they were constantly celebrating energies that were going up, and they were living a natural life. They were living on wheat and barley, apparently, only. They weren't eating a bunch of stuff to distract them from having a relationship, and their pineal glands weren't calcified. I think that if we had a unique relationship with our food since childhood, then our pineal glands would be able to see what they saw at times 10, because this little thing in the middle of our eye is what I believe they had completely activated. Kind of my understanding, if that makes any sense to any of y'all. Yeah, it goes to the crown, right? Yeah, of course. So when you're breathing and you're constantly taking the air up, like when I'm trying to get my dancers to breathe, the first reaction I get is this. They're all nervous. They don't want to just breathe in and breathe out. I ask children to breathe. I notice a pattern. Everyone's eyes are gray, their energy is down, everyone is stuck. And so I'm constantly trying to like be a cheerleader for breath, just simple the octahedron, right? So these elements today, they're so vast and there's so much to them that can open up more information for us. And yeah, it's, man, in ancient times, they just had so much going on with natural energy. I believe that they used bells and vibrations to lift things for sure, sound to lift heavy 1,000 tons stones in Baalbek. I mean, how the hell they lift that? Today they can't lift those stones, right? So it wasn't just man-made energies and men heaving and hoeing. We were probably vibrating and speaking. In Manuel Velikovsky's Worlds in Collision, he speaks of the Snohomish Native Americans and how they said Yahoo, and they raised the sky when Venus was attacking. The sky darkened and apparently it lowered for like a while, and it was just completely different. And so they all got together and chanted. And like my man Matthew was saying, I believe that we need to get together not only to just create energies for these towers, we need to get together and chant and be on a similar vibration, like, and constantly say something that just shifts and removes this very constant, noisy, down to earth energy. You know what I mean? It's okay to be
I
grounded.
actually just researched something just like that when it comes to chants and ohms. And if you when they do those hums, you know,
Mhm.
in the buildings and whatnot, I
Mhm.
believe that they're humming at the specific frequencies of the Fibonacci sequence. So
Mm.
one person will hum at 432, the next at 580, the next at 720, the next, you know, and it keeps going. And when you hum all these frequencies at once on, say, pyramid shape. So a pyramid shape at a 432 is the beginning, right? So that's got its what is it? 1, 2, 3, 4 points. So at the 4 points in this deal, I just watched something about this. Now I want to find that video.
Sure.
But when they hum at a specific, you know, yeah, when they hum at a specific shape, it makes a specific frequency. So like the pyramid's 432, then the cube is 580, and then you keep going from there. But when you do that, it creates specific energies, specific hormones. And I think that the shapes of the chambers that they would be inside, the temple shapes,
Hmm.
it resonated those frequencies. And so those hums, when they put them all together, they
Yep.
actually did something. That's why you had like, you know, a group of monks all praying and humming around one person who was sick with like, you know, some kind of disease or blindness or some ailment. And by the time they left and they were gone, they were like, oh my God, it's a miracle, I'm healed.
Yeah.
And they're like, no, it's just, you know, technology.
Go ahead, Karen. Go ahead. You know, you all just had me. I've had an aha moment. So when they're walking around the Kaaba in a circle, the Kaaba is a cube. Now, each brain has a metal array pyramid, right? So it takes a square and a triangle to make a cipher, a circle. So now I would gather that if these individuals were walking around that Kaaba and chanting in a certain vibration, they are making all the geometry that could open up and send energies up that could possibly take us to a higher vibration or possibly even repel half the crap going on today. But because there's so much noise in here, understandings of God, they're not really chanting, I think, in a manner where, like what you just said, Karen, like, okay, so it takes all these pyramids to make a icosahedron. If you look at geometry, they stick together upside down and they work together to make the elements, and they each have a stage. So when I'm dancing on stage, haha, or the flat energy of the earth comes from that, that's the platform. That's the stove that has this vibration in it. And so I think it's totally about being aware of what we're thinking and being more connected and communicating, as opposed to just sort of doing a routine. Oh, today we're going to go and, wash our feet because so-and-so said to wash our feet. You know what I mean? Today we're going to walk in a circle because, so-and-so said so. There's more to it than that. And there's more things that I think we could benefit from if we were more connected to our thoughts. If that makes any sense.
That made me think. Huh?
I mean, I'm wondering if there's a connection to how they outline you in chalk on a homicide scene, right? See, all these things, and a teacher uses that chalk. It looks like bone. Bamboo looks like my bone. The Druids, people of the oak. Once again, metallare, cortex means bark of tree. So we're not only just geometry, we are literally a manifestation of nature. Like, we are clearly a hybrid of everything. But I think Matthew was going to chime in to say something as well too, so I'm going to open that up.
Oh no, you're good. I was going to say earlier he was talking about the when people are riding around in circles and chanting around the Kaaba. It made me think when I was picturing it in my mind. I've got a visual mindset, and it looks like a visual manifestation of electromagnetic field around a cube magnet. It looks like the torus around a cube magnet.
Yep. Totally. Yeah.
Well, not the torus, but technically that would be like the plane of inertia, really. And all around them, if there was like an energy kind of circling in a spiral form all around them as they went around in a circle, that would be like the returning energy into the cube, which would be like the magnet. It was a striking thought. That's all.
That's awesome. Yeah. Yep. Sure.
Earlier, when I was doing a video with you guys last time we did a video, I actually made it an invention. I call it the seed screw, but it's basically like here, I'll show you guys. It was when we were doing my first live video with you guys. I made it. I was just sitting there while we were talking about everything. Here, once I find it, I'll show it to you guys. But basically, you fit the seed inside of this thing, and it's made out of copper that you stick into the ground. The spike copper part goes in the ground, so that feeds the energy through it. And then the energy is pulled through a magnet at the top part of the screw. And then and then there's a secondary copper ring around the top part of it, so that way the energy is pulled back. Here we go. Pulled back through the ring, and it's on the so here. Can you see this?
Mm-hmm.
So this is the copper part right here, and it's got a twisted coil on it, so that way the energy comes up to it. Here's a magnet right here, so that way the energy is pulled into it and thrown out this way. And the copper ring focuses the energy, so that way the energy doesn't go everywhere. So you pack this part inside full of dirt, and you put the seed right in the middle right there. So that way the energies from the earth are forced through there into the seed and up and out. That way the energies are forced out, creating a column, and the seed will naturally follow that energy because it's the thickest and strongest part, and it'll grow stronger and better.
If I could add to that, Santos gave me some wonderful advice. I had a plant that was dying. I had 2 plants that were dying. And I felt horrible because I left them outside in the sun, and it just got really cold in Iowa. I'm going to the University of Iowa there. And they just died. So for a whole month, the plants, nothing grew. Nothing was coming out. And I was like, shit, I was trying to give them water. So I asked him, did he have any advice? He said, chant Hare Krishna. So, I felt kind of weird about it. I'll be honest with you. I'm all about that energy. So I did it, talking to these plants. I'm chanting. Nothing was growing, but I shit you not. About a month later, 3 green things start pumping out of the dirt. And the other plant, green leaves start pumping out of the sides of the dead plants from chanting to it. And so now, not only do I have 3, then a 4th one grew. And there were 3 that were dead. And so it's like, there's definitely something going on within the geometry in our head, like where our brain is designed with the pyramid structure or the sort of tetrahedron energy. There's a fiery electricity that when we chant, when we set forth energy and we have the right intention, we can grow anything. We can change anything. How did I end up in a university teaching what I teach? I was horrible in school. I was in special ed. I was told I was dumb, all this stuff, right? And then somehow I had no undergraduate. I didn't go through writing classes, but I went through research. I woke up, and so somehow the universe put me. So there's an energy that we definitely can create from either chanting or putting your energy towards something that is about creating life. Totally believe that we can grow and do anything with our brain.
The not funny, but the great thing about what you just said is the fact that they said about Krishna, which means that he derived that chant out of the Indian-based faith. And this is what I'm talking about when it comes to the faith connection. And I feel like I actually just figured out how to find that faith connection because of what you just said.
Yes,
So
sir.
just now I had my massive grand unified theory moment so I can connect all religions. Now I just need to find the middle ground between each religion. So the Indian-based religion or faith system, their chants, their hums,
Yep.
and they're known that they're one of the most spiritual, magical places in the world, and it's because of their chants and their hums. I think that's because they might have had the best grasp on the knowledge of sound and vibration.
Yes, sir.
So if that's the connection for that one, then that would mean like the Egyptian connection for its faith system would be it was based around electromagnetism. Then if you want to go even further than that, then you would say like the Buddhists, in Asia, I don't know, you can just keep going on and on and on and go throughout the entire world and find all the religions and see the common ground, which they were trying to teach everybody through the religion. I think that's going to be
Yeah.
the common ground that'll pull it all together, actually find the things. So just because of what you just said, so that's awesome.
Hey man, I'm grateful to have met you because I'm listening to you and I'm like, wow, yeah, you know what I mean. And I'm riding with you, and then Karen, she's saying I'm riding with her as well, and it just what it does is it oscillates, and then we get to a higher place. There's always threes. Brahma, Vishnu, Shiva, the Father, the Son, the Holy Spirit. It's like it's pretty obvious that these numbers, this Trinity, is a result of something. It doesn't just, you don't just have it there to be cool. You know what I'm saying? It's not just some material thing that is just existing. It actually is in everyone. We have these numbers, and if we're connected to the numbers, then we can become this human keypad. Hence the Kabbalah has those 10 buttons, and we have that keypad. Well, how do we activate that? Well, we don't activate it by eating McDonald's, obviously. Nothing, I mean, I used to eat the stuff, and so if anyone struggles with eating that food, I empathize, but clearly these things are being thrown in our face to have us disconnected from having a supernatural experience or literally making something happen out of a miracle experience. And so, yeah, that plant thing for me, when Santos told me that and I did it and I saw that, I was like, it came at a great time for me because I was going through a bit of a difficult time. I was like, wow. And the plants were inside my house with no good light and chemtrails everywhere. Like, wow. It's amazing. Well, it's a place of opinions and yeah and ego. Like for example, I'm dealing with a faculty right now that's battling me because I know certain things and I'm about trying to elevate. There are people who are suicidal and depressed. Everyone's on medication. Why? When I'm teaching my class, half of them are on medication and depressed. One of my students said to me, "I'm so sorry today. I just I had a bad night because I was feeling suicidal." And I said, "Listen, You showed up. Give yourself some love that you showed up, that you at least came, that you're opening yourself to my class. And just from saying something as simple as that, she could breathe, as opposed to deadlines. Deadlines, corporation, where are my lifelines? Yeah. When you're giving someone positive energy, it's like you're giving them a chant. See, words, like Santos says, words, letters, all of them they're rituals, they're magical. And when you say them, they have a vibration. Right. Yes. See, meditation can work in a bad way too. It could be called deditation. Well, I found a word, deditation, where we're all like, for example, when I go to the saunas and steam rooms, everyone has their phone in the sauna and steam room at my university, sweating with freaking Beats by Dre headphones. Okay. And I tell them, I say, listen, there's radiation in your phone. So imagine if there's 20 of us sweating with these phones, how much radiation is that going into your body? And they all look at me like no one is telling them the basic stuff. You know, it's like, it's amazing. It's amazing. Could I share something? I made a connection with this, the idea of the earth and the disc. So clavicle means key, and Cleopatra named herself after this bone. I thought, why? Etymology. Cleopatra relates to the clavicle. Well, unkey means earth. Key. This is pretty flat if you look at it, right? It's pretty much like a disc. And this would be your dome. So in Black culture, you know, we say, she gave me dome. We always use this dome thing, right? I don't think it's a coincidence that we have a dome over our key. This bone right here, I'm convinced is a very important bone and is a symbol of that actual disc of the earth. Like this, I believe for me, is that platform. Your torus fields, hence whirling wheel chakra, when you breathe from your torso, which is the halo shape, I believe all this is connected. As I'm bringing it up, it's bringing this little disc. And what the earth, I believe, does, it's a symbol of that. The earth is like it's a platform and it's holding, and then it bursts. And that dome that we have above us is, I believe, a vibration coming from beneath the chakras, as Santos was talking about, other chakras beneath the earth, and they're all working together, good and bad, and they hit the earth and they elevate. And then we are on the most beautiful plane, or a symbol of that, in my opinion. On to y'all.
I actually think that resonates quite well. I mean, it almost follows the same principles like the eye, you know? You look at the outside of the eye, kind of like your clavicle, and then the pupil part would be where the head or everything else would come up, because the head would represent the crown, or where the energy, you know, the energy in out area right here. So that hole would go in through the clavicle area. So yeah, I could see that all being interconnected and everything.
Yeah, man. Yeah. And so I think our Egyptians, they were connected to it. You know, egg hides in the word Egypt. You know, Kemet and Cush give birth to Egypt. It means black. Well, soil is black. We're all black. This whole thing, Black Lives Matter, well, of course, black makes matter. Dirt makes everything. Every color, every flower comes from these names, and they're just containers of energy. And it's sad that we get intellectuals who sort of just give us, you know, definitions, but they don't give us an actual esoteric grasp of how we relate to it, and how if we are using the words and using our bones and our vibration, we could all be little bells that elevate things and set forth a spark, which I believe is what stars are. Even Sanchez says that the stars were sperms. When he said that, I was like, shit. Look at the Ophiuchus constellation. It's an obelisk. It's the penis. And then beside the Ophiuchus, you have the Chotum and Scrotum, I think, constellation. Scrotum? Maybe the balls of Osiris? Right. Well, that's all of us. So it's just sexual energy. And so these constellations, they're shooting energies and they're working together. They know what they're doing. They know what their value is, and they get it done. It's good and bad. It's more complex. Yeah, go ahead. Of course. Yeah. You know, they're all aligned with those stars for a reason. Oh, I see what you're saying. Yeah, totally. Yeah, totally. I mean, totally. Yeah, I agree with you on that. These things are very old. Totally. They've been around. I mean, if anything, I would. This is a battery the pyramid's a battery, and it's generating. It's awesome. So of course it would be something that goes beyond anything. Totally. I mean, if we have it in our head, I was talking about the clavicle, key, the dome of the head, medullary pyramids in your brain. Egypt comes from the term black for soil, vibrations, energy. It's okay if you don't remember. I mean, there's a lot of stuff. I don't know. I'll be honest with you. I'll tell you. I'll tell you this. I know that the human body came before those pyramids, and that we have medullary pyramids in our brain. So I don't know. I think it goes all the way back to the very, very, very first body or bodies. You know what I'm saying? I don't know what they look like. I know that we had, well, they've been tampered with a lot. They've been messed with. And of course, man coming in and, building Taco Bells, for Christ's sake, in Egypt now, and Pizza Huts. And it's ridiculous. I mean, no, it's good. Because I've also, there's an old pyramid in Ireland. It's like it's actually probably older than the ones in Egypt. Have you heard of? I forget the name of it, but there's a pyramid in Ireland that's pretty old too. So this is pretty deep. I mean, this concept is not just in Africa. You know what I'm saying? It's clearly a design that's, I believe, created syncretism. It had to. I mean, because you see it, the ziggurat in Samaria. You see it in Mexico. They had theirs. There's pyramids underwater. I think in Japan they find. I'll let Matthew take that.
Happens when an organic material becomes like rock. That's petrification. So you're with that hypothesis, that would mean that the pyramid was made out of an organic material and then it petrified over time into stone. That would mean the closest thing that it would be wood. The pyramid would be built out of wood, but it wouldn't. I don't think it would have no, it would be more evident. I mean, petrification becomes pretty obvious, especially with how old they say the pyramids are. After a certain amount of time, there's a place called the Petrified Forest in America, and all throughout it, all the stumps and whatnot turn into opal. It's this really pretty mineral, but that's what happens after petrification for a really, really long time. It starts turning it into like an opal. So the pyramids would technically be like all opal if they were petrified. So, yeah.
Interesting. I'm also making a connection with Medusa turning things into stone. I know Medusa is the stars from watching Santos's work, and the pyramids are facing this. So there has to be totally. I mean, I don't know exactly. I believe it's definitely a crystal energy because it's.
Hey guys, did you guys
Makes
know
sense.
that there's a underwater pyramid in Japan?
Japan, yeah, I thought so. I mentioned, yep.
I had no idea. That's insane. Like, I didn't know that the Japanese or the Asians at all had any kind of pyramids, honestly.
Yep.
But it
Yeah,
makes
so
sense.
see,
Yeah.
so you have to remember,
All the ones in America, they hide the best. Because I've only heard of like one here in America.
yeah. Well, I mean, listen, our brain, once again, is designed. We have medullary pyramids in our brains, right? So it would make sense to me that this antenna, the sense of this tetrahedron, this energy, that we all had diverse ways of expressing it, and that we're probably going to find a lot more of them because we have them in our head. They're thoughts. I believe they're thoughts. If I can chant Hare Krishna to my dirt, just chanting that through thin air and grow a solid green bamboo-like tree or plant. I mean, it makes sense that I think that we were all at one point extremely connected to our source, our thoughts, and the stars, and we built them from here. And we have Pirates of the Caribbean. Pirates, pyros, fire. Well, since I opened up my pineal gland, I feel pressure. I don't. What's a burial chamber? I'm sorry. Ah, okay. Do you have pictures of it? Do you have pictures of these mounds? Like, do you have some images of what you're talking about? Yeah, I'm interested to see if you do. If not, it's cool. Okay, if you can, I mean, if you can try to get some, that would be cool. Cool. That sounds cool. Sounds interesting. Yeah, I'm not surprised. I mean, There's tons of phenomena everywhere. I mean, Mother Nature is a genius, isn't she? She's always surprising. You can't. Oh, it's okay if you can't. I don't. I'm still new to this, so I don't know if I'm missing something to do. Just to insert here, I have a friend who dances at Rambert. Have you heard of Rambert, Karen, in London? It's a famous modern company. I think it's interesting. It's called Brahma, the head bear. Interesting. See, it's all connected at once again, really into the Hindu. They just so much awesome information with that. So if I could ask Matthew, so where are you from, man?
I'm in Grants Pass, Oregon right now.
Cool. And are you in school? Are you just complete researcher? And what's
Oh,
your background?
I've tried school on many platforms, my man. I graduated high school early. I tried campus college and I made it about 5 hours into my first day. I'm not
Wow,
even
bless you,
kidding,
man.
dude. I got
Dude,
out of school early and I joined the Air Force and I realized that sucked and I left. Well, it didn't just suck. I didn't realize it sucked and left, but I had a heart condition, and it was medical and whatnot. But
mhm.
I left and it did suck, and I'm glad I left because it would have been whatever anyways. But
Yep.
I kept traveling and then I tried doing campus college. And right when I got into my first class, which was Spanish class, I sat down and it just sucked. And then I got to my next class and I sat down and it sucked. And then, like a half hour into my class after that, I got up and I walked out and I didn't go back to school for a few years. Got a laptop, tried to do online school because I'm like, I don't like class. Maybe that's what it was. So I did online. And then I don't know, dude. When learning becomes um, becomes like a necessity, like you better do this, I guess I can't do it. It's either that or subconsciously I knew that I was learning a bunch of BS and I
Mm,
just couldn't stand it because all this stuff that I'm learning right here, I've been doing, you could ask my best friend, she's sitting here next to me. I've been doing this for like days nonstop. The second I wake up till I go to sleep, and I only sleep like a
yep.
few hours, and it gets on people's nerves, but like I can't help it. I've got a mindset to find the answer to something and I'm gonna find it.
That's awesome, man. That's yes. Yeah, it's when I first started getting into the information, man, I was getting into symbolism. And I was actually in England at the time. I was staying with a friend in London. And I went outside and I started making all these connections and I started to feel like, holy shit, like there's a lot more going on. And everything just started to pop out. And it's kind of, oh, there it is. Cool. I'll check it in a second, the photo thing. And just to chime in. Okay, cool. Yeah. Yeah. To chime in with Matthew, like, I don't know how, man, but I'm almost done. I'm in my last semester at University of Iowa. And I don't know how I'm doing it. I'll be honest with you. Like they're trying to go for diversity, and I believe that it's more about, oh, okay, cool. We have some people of color. Let's see if it works. And then it just kind of feels like, well, oh, maybe it's not working, so maybe we should just sort of get rid of some or make it hard or so many mistakes and weird things that are going on. And there's a lot of good people there too who have been very supportive. And so I'm grateful. So I'm not going to completely, bash it because it's definitely been very open to me because I teach in the way that I teach, and it's a miracle. It's in a system that's designed to institutionalize and control. But I'll be honest, man. It's the last leg. I have like maybe 4 more months left, and a part of me is just like, why? It's because it's a battle. They fight you, and they want you to defend yourself and defend, and they're flawed. They make all kinds of mistakes in their syllabuses. But then if I say, hey, there's a mistake here, it's hindered my progression. I feel like, I get, no, just do it. Like what you said, just do it, do it, do it, raw, rigor. That's not consciousness. That's not what the intellect wants, I don't feel. It doesn't need to be traumatized in order to get a point across. Why am I defending myself? It's just like this constant like structure of you're never good enough. Like in ballet, same thing. When I was dancing, long story short, it yes, totally am more sensitive. Yeah, I agree with you. Yeah, you're right. Yep. I think we all could. But I'm just saying it's a miracle that my thesis proposal went through because it's about astrology. And I'll never forget, I was in class. It's queer studies. And so I was in the class because I'm trying to get as much information about the sacred feminine and how it's being repressed. And of course, we are afraid of talking about anything to do with the goddess or anyone who associates with being feminine and it's weak, and we insult them. And I'll never forget this. My teacher was saying he was defining homosexual. So I raised my hand. I said, homosexual etymology actually relates to Uranian, which relates to Uranus, which means Greek for the heavens. Now, when I said that, he looked at me. This is an Oxford, graduate, PhD, all this stuff. He knows Kemet. He speaks all this right Hebrew. He can decode things. And I could sense in his body that he felt like I was maybe trying to show off or make it weird because the energy shifted once I did that. Now, as opposed to embracing that and saying, hey, wow, etymology.com, all you have to do is just look up a word and you can maybe associate what your vibration is to astrology, as opposed to people. So then now the gays are hating the gays and the transgenders are hating the trans, and they're competing, and the feminists are hating those. It's like everyone's in a group. No. Don't go to a group. Go to information, man. Research. Go online. And this guy was basically saying, don't research. Don't go to Google. You can't do that. Why would you discourage people from getting information for free? How did I get to university? From research. It baffles me. The ego is so, man, and ego is geo, which means earth, by the way. It's all about earth. Captain EO, Michael Jackson in Disney World, that was a thing back in the day. What is EO but geo? Ghana is earth. Gionum, the G in Freemasonry, is earth. Gionum is hell in Jerusalem, which Santo says is your third eye, which is a triangle point. It's right here. Once again, that pyramid, right? What came first, us or these structures? What happened with this brain of ours? We've lost the impetus to influence people to go on their own and research. So I'm going to stop hogging the mic. If Matthew wants to chime in or Karen, please feel so. Oh yeah, let me go to Facebook. Sorry, you sent a lot. I'm going now.
I'd love to continue, but I'm gonna go ahead and step out now so me and my friend can hang out and go to bed in just a bit.
Pleasure to meet you, man.
I want to hang. I can't wait for next talk. Let me know when it's going down. I'll be here. Yes, definitely.
Pleasure to meet you, man. What sign are you, brother?
Pleasure to meet you guys too. Pisces.
Pisces, cool.
Pisces. All right, later, y'all.
Peace.
Cheers.
Okay, Karen. I'm checking these out. Well, I've made a connection. One of your pictures is really cool. This one, Old Sarum Castle. If you put a C in Sarum, you get sacrum, which is sacred, which once again, telling you for sure, there's the bones and the elements in our bodies, clearly all over the world, we're synced. We were synced. We were connected to our body and nature, and we built things as a reflection of that. I mean, you're showing me, even in the names, it says the body part, right? So it's a no-brainer, literally, a no-brainer. It's cool. Oh, those are sacred places. Those are sacred for sure. They're spiritual. I'm seeing it. Have you done a presentation on these pictures? You should. Cool. Well, yeah, you should definitely do your own take on it. Do your own take and expand upon it, because what you're saying, this stuff, I would, keep going with it. It's interesting. Cool. Well, I can't speak on these images. I don't know, but I can tell by the names that there's definitely something much deeper than just man building them or a moat. I don't know, but it's kind of late in my house. I should probably wrap it up because I think people are sleeping. But so when do you think we should do this again? This is really amazing. This was Yeah, you are. Wow. I think New Year's Eve, I might possibly be able to jump in there at some point. That's cool. Oh, I would love to get in there at some point for sure. My gosh, you're kidding me.
Including me.
Wow.
Including me. Are you including me? It was great listening to you.
Hi, you did. Pleasure to meet you. Absolutely. So yeah, I will definitely love to get in there. But once again, I want to say thank you for this is I'm sure. This is gonna be great. This is gonna be great. I'm gonna do much more of these with you. You're the best. Cool. Yeah, send me his stuff and I look forward to doing this again for sure. Just send me, yeah, today you sent me the message. I got it while I was out and and then I was able to sync with you. So just send me the message whenever you guys are floating and then I'll just jump in. Maybe. It's 9:32 here now. PM. No, you don't. And if you did, I'm sure you would season me. Oh no, man, y'all make it work though. Even if there's misunderstandings or disagreements, I just love that, it doesn't escalate. It's just passion. It's passion. That's all. It's good. Well, that's because of when I saw Santos's presentations like years ago, it was his direct energy. I was like, okay, I know this person. I felt like this was a person that I'd met before. And I just started to vibe right away. And he made it so easy. And it was enjoyable. And no one says pig's bum like him. Pig's bum. And Jesus. I love it. I love it. It's classic shit. It's classic shit.
Yeah.
But I'm gonna get off and so yeah, just holler at me when we do it again. And thanks, it was an honor and a pleasure to meet you, Judith. I'd love to hear more from you next time as well.
Right.
Thank you. So are you. Definitely, yes, ma'am. Peace. Bye.
Peace. Bye.